I'm Chris Duke, and this is Motors. When it comes to aftermarket brakes for your vehicle, there's a lot of different choices out there. You can go bigger for more stopping power, or you can simply upgrade what you've got to something that performs better and looks more aggressive. Today on Motors, we're going to upgrade the rotors and brakes on our 2008 Mustang GT. We got a hold of some new Stillen Sport rotors and brake pads, which provide more bite when cold and extra cooling when they're hot due to the cross drilling and slots that are cut into the rotor. This is something you can do yourself with just a floor jack and a few simple tools. Let's check them out. The brake upgrade kit that we got from Stillen comes with these zinc-plated front and rear replacement rotors that are drilled and slotted, and these brake pads that are made from a high-performance semi-metallic compound. Now here's a quick comparison between the stock rotors, these are the front, and the aftermarket ones from Stillen. You can see they're about the same size. The big difference is the Stillen ones are slotted and drilled. For this installation, you're going to need some jack stands as well as a low-profile floor jack, some gloves and safety goggles, as well as some brake cleaner, a flat blade screwdriver, and a brake pad spreader, and a brake piston tool. Now you can get both of these at your local auto parts store. Some socket wrenches, a breaker bar, a torque wrench, various sockets and extensions. Use a breaker bar to break your lug nuts loose. And then jack up the rear of the vehicle. To remove the brake caliper, there's a 13mm bolt on the top, and there's also one down here on the bottom. Then after you've done that, you're going to grab a 15mm socket, remove this bolt here, there's one on top and one on the bottom. That's going to get rid of that bracket. Once you've got the bolts loose from the caliper, you can wiggle that off. Here's a little tip. Grab your other jack stand. You can set it down right on that, because you don't want to mess with that brake line. Now remove your brake pads. To get those 15mm bolts off the back, you're going to need a breaker bar and a lot of brute force. And get that last bolt out, and then you can remove this caliper bracket. Next thing you want to do is take off this metal ring that's right here. You can just get in there with a screwdriver. It's going to take a little bit of work to get that off. Then you can slide the rotor off. Put on your new rotor and then reinstall your caliper bracket. Go ahead and remove the cover from your brake fluid reservoir before you compress your calipers and put your new brake pads on. Just make sure you watch the fill line. Now on the front, use this brake pad spreader to compress the calipers, but on the rear, since they're self-adjusting, you have to use this brake piston tool. So grab that and snap it onto a socket, and pair these teeth right there up with the piston, and once those are on there, you crank this really hard in a clockwise direction. Now once you've got everything put back together, you're going to take a look at these rotors, and they're going to look pretty nasty from a bunch of grease and fingerprints and stuff. So put down a bunch of towels and get some brake cleaner, spray that off, and turn this as you go so you can get it nice and clean all the way around. Toss the wheel back on and then attack the front. Jack up the front of the car under the K-member, which is located directly behind this front tire. Then take a jack stand and put that underneath the front. And here's a tip for you when you're doing the front. You want to turn your wheels so that caliper is pointing out as much as possible. Just as we did for the back, we want to remove the front caliper, with the one difference being that you want to use a 12mm socket for this top bolt, and this one's still a 15 down here. Pop off the 2-piston caliper up here on front, and just like we did in the back, you want to set this aside on a jack stand. And take off your bracket. And you can pop off your rotor, take that clip off first. Put on your new rotor and brake pads and repeat on the other side. After torquing your lugs and checking your air pressure in your tires, you want to perform the bed-in procedure as recommended by the manufacturer. Now, this is a very important step in order to break in your new rotors. Now, after you've done this procedure, you need to take it easy on your new brakes for the next 500 or so miles. Now, on our website below the player, you can download this information as well as look at other show notes about this installation. Well, that does it for this episode of Motors. For more information on Stillen's products that we installed in this episode, head on over to www.stillen.com. And for more episodes of Motors, of course, go to motors.tv, where you can chat it up on our forums and take a look at all sorts of other information below the player at our website. When it comes to aftermarket brakes for your vehicle, I had to swallow. And I'm not in the scene, right? Because I'm a big sweaty mess.